I raised her. I paid for everything. But at her wedding, they labeled me the old lady. That night, I didn't cry. I stood up and I remembered who I was. What they did was heartless. What happened next? Even colder. Hit like if betrayal burns you too, drop a comment if you've lived it, and subscribe because karma always tells the best stories. The music was loud, but not enough to drown out my thoughts. I sat at a table near the exit, the kind they give to people who don't matter, but can't be left out. Champagne, madam? A waiter asked. No, thank you. I managed to smile. My feet throbbed in my only pair of heels, the ones I hadn't worn since Daniel's funeral. I looked down at my name tag. The old lady who's paying for everything. That's what it said. Not grandmother of the bride. Not even Mrs. Iris Bennett. Just that. The plastic edge dug into my chest. Laura walked by, holding a glass of red wine. She didn't stop. Laura, I called softly. She paused. Yes, Mom? Did you see this? I held up the tag. Her eyes flicked to it, then away. Oh, I didn't make those. Probably the planner. You know how they try to be quirky. Quirky? I tilted my head. It's just a joke, Mom. Lighten up. Everyone knows you helped out. You should be proud. I would have preferred grandmother, I said. Or just my name. She sighed. You're overthinking it. Grace laughed nearby. I turned to see her in her white dress, posing for a picture with James and his mother, Helen. Helen leaned in close to her and whispered something. Grace giggled. Her eyes briefly swept across the room. She saw me. She didn't wave. A man's voice boomed from the DJ booth. Let's give it up for the beautiful couple. The applause drowned out my thoughts for a second. I set my fork down. The chicken was cold. Helen approached my table. She didn't sit. Iris, darling, she said with a smile that didn't touch her eyes. Did you enjoy the ceremony? I did. You must be so proud. Grace looked radiant. Must be all those years of, what was it? You raised her, right? Yes. Well, you did a decent job. Though I must say, her taste has really improved since she met us. She's always had taste, I said. Helen chuckled. Of course. Just not refined. But don't worry. We'll polish the rough edges. She walked off before I could answer. Would you like something else, madam? The waiter asked again. Same one. Younger than Grace. Maybe 22. I'm fine, I said. He hesitated. You looked upset earlier. I'm just tired. He gave me a kind smile. Long day. A long life. I turned my attention back to the room. Toasts were beginning. James's father spoke about legacy and tradition. Laura clapped a little too hard. Grace stood next, lifting her glass. To the people who made this possible. My new family and my mom, who's always been my rock. Not a single word about me. I looked back down at the tag. My hands trembled. You okay, Grandma? Grace's voice behind me startled me. I looked up. Her face was carefully composed, like she already expected me to say something inconvenient. Did you see what they put on this? I asked, holding up the tag. Her smile faded for a second. It's funny. James's mom said it'd get a laugh. Did it? I guess not, she said. Look, I didn't mean to hurt your feelings. It's just you've always been practical. You don't care about titles, right? I care about being seen. You're here, aren't you? I paid for it. She blinked. So, I thought that might count for something more than a joke. Grandma, you're making this into a thing. I didn't mean it like that. I nodded slowly. That's the thing about meaning. It's never what you say. It's what you let happen. I don't have time for this right now, she muttered. It's my wedding. And just like that, she was gone. I sat still, afraid to move, afraid to cry. I remembered holding Grace when she had chickenpox, staying up all night with her through storms. I remembered missing my own birthday to sew her dress for a school play. I remembered selling Daniel's old watch to buy her laptop for college. All of it. Every tiny sacrifice. All erased by one cheap plastic tag. Laura returned to the table. I saw you talking to Grace. Please don't ruin her night. I didn't say anything cruel. Still. She's under a lot of pressure. Just try to blend in. I smiled, though it felt like my face might crack. I think I've done enough blending. Mom.
No.
It's fine. Don't worry. I know my place. Laura looked away. Silence. Eventually, the room erupted into cheers as Grace and James danced under golden lights. Someone raised a toast to the families who made all this possible. No one looked at me. The waiter came by one last time. Still no drink. I think I'll take one now. He poured champagne into my glass. Your granddaughter? I nodded. She's lucky, he said. I watched her spin, laughing in James's arms, her diamond bracelet catching the light. She doesn't think so, I said quietly. He hesitated. Well, maybe she will. One day. I looked down at the bubbly drink, at the sparkle that didn't feel like celebration. Just noise. Maybe, I whispered. But by then, it'll be too late. Do you remember when Grace chipped her front tooth? I asked. Laura didn't look up from her phone. What? She was 6. Ran straight into the edge of the table. Blood everywhere. You were in Dubai that week. I was working, Mom. I held her all night. She cried until she fell asleep on my lap. Laura tapped something on her screen. Why are you bringing this up now? I just remembered. Well, forget it. It's Grace's big day. Don't bring up injuries from 20 years ago. I stared at my hands. My knuckles looked like old tree roots. You were never around much after the divorce, I said. You dropped her off with a bag of clothes and said you'd be gone a month. You came back 3 years later. Laura looked up. I did what I had to do. I did too. She sighed. Are you trying to guilt-trip me now?
No.
I'm just remembering. You always do this. You bring up the past when it's inconvenient. I bring it up when it hurts. Silence fell between us. The kind that knows exactly where all the wounds are. I got up and walked toward the edge of the hall, near the wall where the lights weren't so bright. I could still hear the music from the rehearsal dinner the night before. The clinking of glasses, the laughter, Helen's voice sharp like broken glass. Oh, Iris, she had said, looking me up and down. Vintage shoes? How charming. I forced a smile. They were my wedding shoes. She laughed. Of course. Well, they've certainly lived. James had stood beside her, saying nothing, just smiling that cold, polite smile that men like him wear when they think they're above discomfort. I'd said nothing then. Like always. After they walked away, I remember Laura leaning in. Please don't embarrass me, she whispered. By existing? I'd asked. By looking like you don't belong here. I didn't answer her. I just nodded, like I always did. Later that night, alone in my room, I opened the drawer where I kept Daniel's photo. I held it. I always do when I feel like disappearing. You tell me to leave, I whispered to his picture. You'd say I don't owe them anything. I never pawned his picture. But I did pawn my ring. Grace needed tuition. Private school. Laura had no money. James wasn't in the picture yet. It was me. You'll get it back, I told myself when I handed it over to the man at the counter. But I never did. I walked back toward the dining tables, now cleared for dancing. I stood quietly at the edge. You've been quiet, someone said behind me. It was James. I'm always quiet, I replied. I hope my mother didn't offend you last night. She always offends me. He smirked. She's not subtle.
No.
She's not. He took a sip of his drink. Grace says you raised her. I did. Well, thank you, I guess. You guess? I mean, she turned out all right, didn't she? That depends who you ask. He chuckled. You're tougher than you look. I used to be. James nodded. You know, Grace wanted a smaller wedding. My mom pushed for this. Of course she did. She wanted everything perfect. And I paid for it. His smile tightened.
Right. That.
Grace said you insisted.
No.
Grace said she'd postpone unless I helped. Laura said I owed it to the family. James looked away. Well, it worked out. Everyone's happy. Not everyone.
He blinked at me.
You're really not going to let this go, are you? I let too much go. He didn't answer, just finished his drink and walked away. Back at my table, I sat down again. I stared at the empty glass in front of me, then reached for my purse. A folded napkin was inside. On it, Grace had scribbled something months ago. "Don't worry, Grandma. You'll always be special to me." That was before the dress fitting, before Helen took over, before my name became a joke on a card. "Always," I whispered. Grace passed by again, arm in arm with Laura. "Mom," Laura said, "could you fix your lipstick? The photographer might want family shots." I wasn't asked to be in them. "Well, just in case. And maybe straighten your back a little." I nodded. Grace gave me a quick glance. "You all right?" I smiled. "Of course." "Good. Just please don't make things weird." "I wouldn't dream of it." They walked off. I sat still. Invisibility doesn't come all at once. It comes in polite suggestions, in soft corrections, in skipped introductions, in name tags that call you a wallet, not a woman. It comes in silence. The price of peace is always silence. I've paid it for decades. And I think I'm done. The restroom echoed with laughter. I was in the far stall, hands trembling slightly as I clutched my purse. I hadn't meant to linger, but my heel was pinching again, and I just needed a minute to breathe. "Did you see her dress?" Someone giggled. "God, yes." Another voice chimed in. "It looks like something out of a thrift shop." "That's because it probably is," Lila laughed. "I mean, she's sweet, but come on." My throat tightened. "She's not even sweet," Grace's voice said, sharp and low. "She's just always there." A pause. She insisted on coming. I didn't even want her here. My fingers froze. "She paid for everything though," Lila said. "Exactly," Grace replied. "That's literally her only role in my life. Funding stuff. She always made me feel guilty growing up, like I owed her just for existing." My heartbeat thudded in my ears. "She raised you, didn't she?"
Yeah.
"And reminded me every chance she got." I let out a quiet breath, tried not to move. Grace's voice softened. "I just wanted this day to be about me. Not her sitting there looking like she walked out of a history book." "She means well," Lila offered weakly. "Does she?" Grace snapped. "She gave me this awful perfume last night. Said it was her favorite scent. Smells like a funeral home." I threw it out. The trash can. My gift. I felt the edge of my purse strap press into my palm. I'd bought that perfume in 1982. Wore it at Daniel's funeral. It reminded me of him.
Of strength.
I gave it to her because I thought she'd carry me with her. The laughter faded. Footsteps clicked against the tiles. The door swung open, then closed. Silence. I stepped out of the stall. The room was empty now, but the air felt thick. I walked to the trash can slowly, knelt beside it, and opened the lid. There it was, still in the gold box. Unopened. I didn't cry.
Not then.
I took it out, brushed off a napkin stuck to the side. My reflection in the mirror looked calm. Too calm. I pressed the bottle to my chest, then dropped it into my purse without a word. Outside, the music played on. When I stepped back into the hallway, Helen almost bumped into me. "Oh, Iris," she said. "You've been gone a while." I needed the restroom. "Well, don't miss the cake cutting. It's quite the spectacle." "I wouldn't dare." She narrowed her eyes. "Are you all right?" "Of course." "You look pale." "Maybe it's the lighting." She tilted her head. "If you say so." "I do." She gave me one last glance, then disappeared into the ballroom. I found my way back to my seat. My name tag still mocked me. Laura walked over, phone in hand. "Where have you been?" "Freshening up." Grace was wondering. Was she? She stressed. "Don't take anything personally." "I haven't said a word." "Good. Just stay out of the photos if you can." "I already planned to." Laura paused. "Look, you know Grace loves you, right?" I didn't answer. She's under pressure. I was too, when I raised her alone. "I know, Mom."
No.
"You don't." She frowned. "Let's not do this today." "Of course not. Today isn't mine." Laura shifted awkwardly. Try not to overthink. People say things they don't mean. Sometimes they say exactly what they mean.
She didn't reply.
The ballroom doors opened again, and Grace entered, bouquet in hand, glowing under the lights. People clapped. She smiled. I didn't. I just watched. Still no drink? The young waiter asked, his voice soft, like he wasn't trying to startle me. I looked up from the empty plate in front of me. Water, please. He nodded, setting down his tray. Sparkling or still?
Still.
No bubbles. I don't trust bubbles. He chuckled. Got it. I watched him walk away.
His shoes were clean.
His back straight. He reminded me of Daniel when we first met.
Calm.
Unbothered. When he returned, he placed the glass gently in front of me. It's a beautiful wedding. It is. But you look like someone who hasn't smiled all night. I'm just tired. You sure?
No.
He sat at the edge of the table, careful not to be seen. Want to talk about it? You really want to know? I asked. I stared at the water, then at him. I raised the bride. From the time she was 3. Her mother left her with me after the divorce. Sounds like you were her rock. I was. Until I wasn't. He waited. I paid for the wedding. Every flower, every fork, every candle. And do you know what my name tag says?
He leaned in.
The old lady who's paying for everything. He blinked. That's not funny.
No.
It's not. And your family, they're okay with that? They don't see me. Not really.
He sat back.
I see you. I smiled. You're just being polite. No, I'm being honest. I sipped the water, then said quietly. She threw away my gift. What was it? Perfume. It meant something to me. Did she know? I told her. He frowned. Then she knew. She said I made her feel guilty growing up. For existing. He stayed silent. I gave everything. And now I'm furniture in the background. You're not furniture. Feels like it. I've served drinks to people all night, he said. But you're the only one who made eye contact. I looked at him. That's not much. It's more than you think. I hesitated. Do you have a mother? She died when I was 10. I'm sorry. She always said, don't let anyone make you feel small. She was wise. So are you.
No.
I stayed silent too long. Sometimes silence isn't weakness. It's survival. That's what I told myself. And now it just feels like regret. He pushed the glass closer to me.
Then speak.
Even if it's just to me. I laughed, but it cracked halfway through. You're a stranger. Strangers don't carry expectations. That's why they're safe. I looked down. My hands were shaking. Are you cold? He asked.
No.
I'm just finally saying things I've never said. You deserve better. I stared at him. Why do you care? Because I've seen too many people get swallowed up by people who don't. My eyes filled, but I blinked quickly. It's okay, he said gently. You can cry. I hate crying in public. It's not public. It's just us. I looked around. No one was watching. The music had shifted to something softer. So I let go. Quiet tears. Nothing dramatic. Just release.
He didn't speak.
Just waited. When I finally wiped my eyes, I whispered, Thank you. He smiled. Any time, ma'am. I chuckled. Call me Iris. Iris, he repeated. Your name? Mark. Well, Mark, you saved me tonight. I just listened. That's more than anyone else has done.
He stood.
I have to get back to trays and tips. I nodded.
Go.
Before someone thinks you care. He smiled again and walked off, vanishing into the blur of gold and white. But I saw him. And I knew, somehow, he had seen me too. I reached into my clutch, fingers searching for tissue, maybe mints, something to busy my hands. Instead, I pulled out a small, folded piece of paper. The edges were worn. I knew what it was before I even unfolded it. Daniel, I whispered under my breath. I forgot you were still with me tonight. I unfolded the paper slowly. My handwriting looked older than I remembered. Dear Daniel, I miss you more when they don't see me. When they forget what I gave. When I start forgetting too. I hope I've been strong. But it's hard when the ones you raised can't even see you. I wish you were here to tell me what matters. I wish I hadn't stayed silent so long. The ink was smudged at the corner. I'd cried when I wrote it. You'd hate this dress, I whispered. Too tight. Too blue. Not enough pockets. The paper crinkled in my hands. You always said, don't let them make you feel small. I could almost hear his voice.
Low. Calm.
Unshakable. You said I was the strongest woman you knew. You lied. My voice shook. I didn't care if anyone heard. You wouldn't believe what Grace said. What Laura didn't say. What they all think I am. I looked at the words again. My words. You tell me to walk out. You always did. I remembered one fight with Laura. Years ago. She's 16, Daniel. She doesn't listen to me. She doesn't have to listen, he said. She just has to see what you do. But she doesn't.
She will.
One day. Daniel, I murmured now. She didn't. The music outside the ballroom swelled, muffled through the walls. I keep giving. And they keep taking. And I keep thinking, maybe this time it'll mean something. I folded the letter again. Pressed it to my chest. Dad, you forgive me? I asked softly. For letting them take so much? A memory came, his hand on mine in the hospital. You're not weak, he had whispered. You're tired. I held on to that. I sat up straighter in my chair. You'd be so disappointed in me, I said. Letting them erase me. Letting them name me with a punchline. I reached into my clutch again. Found a pen. On the back of the letter, I wrote, I remember now. I am not small. I am just silent. And I won't be silent much longer. I looked up, blinking fast. No one was watching. No one ever was. Thank you, I whispered to the paper. For staying with me. For the first time all night I smiled. Not because I was happy. Because I remembered who I used to be. And she wasn't gone. The clinking of glasses echoed as the music dipped and the MC tapped the microphone. Now, a few words from our beloved grandmother, Iris. I rose slowly. My legs felt shaky, but steady enough. I picked up my clutch, still clutching the folded letter inside. I made my way to the front. A few guests clapped. Go on, Gran, someone whispered. I took the microphone. A smile came automatically, polite, practiced. Good evening. Chairs creaked. The murmur of wine and wedding chatter softened. I wasn't sure if I'd speak tonight. I began, voice clear. But then again, I wasn't sure if I was even supposed to be here. Light laughter followed. Brief. Uncertain. I know what you're expecting. A few sweet memories. Maybe something charming about Grace as a child. I glanced at my granddaughter. Her smile was frozen. Laura sipped her wine too quickly. But I'll begin with this. I held up the name tag. This was on my seat. People leaned closer. It doesn't say grandmother of the bride. It says, the old lady who's paying for everything.
Gasps.
Soft, awkward laughter. Some thought I was joking. I assure you, it's quite real. I set the tag on the table beside me. I raised Grace. After her father left. After Laura's world fell apart. I was there. I turned slightly toward Laura. You moved back in with nothing but your tears and her tiny shoes, and I took you both in. Laura shifted in her chair. I sold my wedding ring to pay for her preschool. I skipped dinner so she could have piano lessons. I braided her hair every morning. I walked her to school when her mother was working double shifts. I made birthday cakes from flour and prayers. I scanned the room. No one moved. Do you remember, Grace? I asked gently. When you had nightmares and crawled into my bed. When I stayed up sewing the dress for your school play. You said I was magic. Grace stared at her lap. But lately, I continued. I felt more like a ghost. I inhaled deeply. At the rehearsal dinner, someone laughed at my shoes. Called them quaint. My eyes met Helen's. Her face stiffened. And James. I turned to him. You smiled but said nothing. He dropped his gaze. I let the silence stretch before speaking again. I am not bitter, but I am tired. Chairs creaked. A fork dropped. I am not here tonight as a decoration or a bank account. I'm here as the woman who gave up everything for a family that sometimes forgets she exists. A few eyes watered. A few narrowed. I've been silent the long time. Too long. I let love become obligation. I let giving become expected. I let myself disappear. I reached into my clutch, pulled out the folded paper, held it close. This letter, my voice trembled for a moment, was written to my late husband, Daniel. I never mailed it, just kept it tucked away, like the parts of myself I stopped showing. I paused. It says, I hope I've been strong, but it's hard when the ones you raised can't even see you. I looked out at them. Well, tonight, I'd like to be seen. The microphone felt weightless now. This wedding, I gestured around, was my gift. Not just the venue or the food or the band, but every thread of love that brought you here came through my hands. No one interrupted. But this name tag, this title, I tapped it. It reminded me how far I'd let things go. I smiled, not bitter, not sarcastic, just tired. So, let me give myself a new title tonight. I raised my glass to Iris, the woman who stayed when she wasn't thanked, who gave when she had nothing left, who loved loud but lived quiet. Until now. Someone clapped. Then another. I won't demand your gratitude. I won't beg for acknowledgement. I looked at Grace. But I will no longer be erased. I turned back to the room. I lifted the microphone one last time, is the last day I'll let you forget who I am. Silence. Heavy. Sacred. I set the microphone down gently, and I walked back to my seat. No one dared stop me. Not this time. I placed the microphone down. It made a soft thud against the velvet-lined table. The room didn't erupt. It didn't even stir. A few hesitant claps. Then stillness. I turned and walked back slowly, heart thudding louder than the music that no longer played. Laura's eyes followed me like knives. Cold, glittering knives. Grace just stared. James didn't meet my gaze. He studied the tablecloth, smoothing it with one hand like something might unfold from the linen. Helen leaned toward Laura and whispered something, but I couldn't hear. I didn't want to. I sat down. My legs felt like wet paper, but I kept my chin high. A moment later, Mark appeared again, quiet as a thought. He placed a glass of wine in front of me. No water this time? I tried to smile. You've earned something stronger. I chuckled, and it startled me. He leaned closer. That was brave. I think it was foolish. Still brave. I swirled the wine. Did I embarrass her? That depends, he said gently. Did she deserve to be embarrassed? I said nothing. The laughter from another table felt a mile away.
Forced.
Empty. Laura stood up, marched toward the corner. Grace remained rooted, unmoving. She blinked slowly, like someone waking from a spell. I sighed. Mark pulled a chair beside me. You look scared. I am.
Why?
Because I said it. All of it. And now I can't take it back. Good. I looked at him. Sometimes you have to burn the script they wrote for you. I don't know what happens now, I whispered. Maybe that's the point. I shook my head. I've lived so long in the quiet. I don't know who I am without it. You're someone who still has a voice. I smiled at that. Do you think they'll hate me?
Some might.
I winced. But others, he continued, might finally see you. Across the hall, Grace finally stood and walked toward the exit. Her heels clicked against the marble. James followed her a moment later, silent as a ghost. Helen stayed seated, arms crossed. She wouldn't give me the satisfaction of reacting. I shouldn't have said it like that, I muttered. You should have said it long ago. I laughed again, softer this time. What if I ruined her day? Mark leaned back. What if you saved your own? I looked at the glass, the deep red swirl. Why are you being so kind? Because I saw a woman stand up and tell the truth. That deserves kindness. I didn't respond right away. My hands shook slightly as I brought the glass to my lips. Mark looked around. The room's quieter now. I think I drained it. No, he smiled. You centered it. I stared at the dance floor. Empty. Still. Funny, I said. I paid for that floor. You paid for all of this.
Yes.
And for years, I told myself that meant something. It does. I glanced at him. It means you loved hard. Too hard, maybe. Maybe. But never wrongly. I felt something tight in my chest shift. I should feel ashamed, but you don't.
No.
That's freedom, he said. I exhaled. You're wise for someone who balances champagne flutes. Maybe I've seen a lot. Do many people cry at weddings? Fewer than they should. I laughed. Really laughed this time. Someone turned toward me, startled by the sound. I don't think I've laughed at one in years, I admitted. That's changing now. I looked at him, really looked. I won't forget this, I said. I hope not. The music started again. Soft, unsure. Like it, too, was testing the air. I sipped the wine. It tasted expensive.
Dry. Honest.
They'll talk about me, won't they? They already do. I suppose now I've given them something worth saying. He smiled. I sat back, loosened my shoulders. My heart had stopped racing. My breath was mine again. I feel light, I whispered. Like someone finally set you down. Yes. Mark stood. I should get back. They'll be wanting more drinks. Let them drink. I've had my fill. He bowed slightly, playful. If I don't see you again, you will. Then I'll be looking forward to it. He walked away, disappearing between the suits and sequins. I sat alone, at peace. And for the first time in decades, I didn't feel invisible. There was a knock on my hotel room door, soft, hesitant. I didn't answer right away. Another knock. Then, it's me. I opened the door. Grace stood there, still in her dress, makeup smudged, hair half unpinned. Her heels dangled from one hand. Can I come in? I stepped aside. She walked in slowly, glancing around like she'd never been in a hotel room before. I couldn't sleep, she said. I didn't speak. I just kept hearing your voice. Still, I waited. I didn't know you felt like that. I sat on the edge of the bed. You never ask. She winced. That's not fair. It's true. I thought you were happy to help. You never said anything. Would it have mattered if I had? Her eyes dropped. Yes. Grace. She looked up. I raised you. I gave you everything I had. And somewhere along the way, I became a ghost in your life. That's not what I meant to happen. It's what happened. I didn't realize. That's the part that hurts the most. She sat across from me, floor between us. When I saw you standing there, I didn't expect that speech. I didn't plan it. You looked so calm, so cold. Not cold, just finished. She closed her eyes. I feel awful. I don't want you to feel awful. Then what do you want?
Truth.
Even if it's late. I'm sorry. I believe you. She stood again, pacing. I was so caught up. The dress, the menu, the seating charts. I thought paying for it all made you happy. I never wanted things, Grace. I wanted presents. She stopped pacing. Why didn't you just tell me? I did. In ways you didn't hear. She sank onto the window seat. I kept thinking about the name tag. So did I. I didn't know they'd write that. But they did. And no one thought to change it. I was going to. I forgot. That's the problem, isn't it? She looked at me with glassy eyes. Was I a bad granddaughter? I don't think you meant to be. But was I? I hesitated. You were busy being a bride. You forgot to be a child. She pressed her forehead against the glass. I hate that I made you feel small. You didn't make me. I let you.
She turned to me.
So what now? I don't know. Can we fix this? Maybe, but not tonight. She stood and walked closer. I love you. I know. You don't say it back? I do love you. Tears slipped down her cheeks. But love doesn't erase everything, I added softly. I want to make it right. Then listen more. Ask more. Look beyond what's convenient. She nodded, wiping her face. Are you leaving tomorrow? I didn't answer. You're leaving, aren't you? I nodded. Can I come see you? After the honeymoon? If you want to. She looked away. You're different. No, I said. I'm finally myself. Silence stretched. I don't want that to be the last thing you say to me. Then remember it well. She looked like she might say something else. But then she just whispered, Good night. Good night, Grace. She left. I didn't sleep much after that. I sat by the window, watching the city hum through the night, its quiet chaos soothing me more than her apology had. In the morning, I packed in silence, folded my dress carefully, placed the letter back into my clutch. I didn't call for a bellboy. Didn't leave a note. At the front desk, the clerk smiled politely. Checking out, ma'am? Yes. Need help with bags?
No.
As I stepped into the cab, the doorman held the door. Headed home, he asked. No, I said. Headed forward. Third floor, the landlord said, handing me the key. Views nothing fancy, but you'll hear the waves at night. That's more than enough. The elevator creaked. The hallway smelled faintly of salt and old wood, and when I opened the door, the room greeted me with silence. Bare walls. A window facing east. The ocean, peeking between two rooftops. I set down my bag. I exhaled. Later that week, Clara arrived with a paper bag full of fruit and 2 bottles of red. Where's your furniture? She laughed, spinning in a circle. Still deciding who I am before I sit on anything. She smirked. I'll bring you a chair. I'll take a floor cushion. We sat on a blanket, the wine uncorked between us, oranges peeled and staining our fingers. You look lighter, she said. I feel untethered. That a good thing? I think so. She sipped. I always wondered what you'd be like, without all of them clinging to you. I raised an eyebrow. Clara. Oh, come on. You were their gravity. They never even looked up to notice you were sinking. I tore a piece of orange. It's strange. I don't feel angry anymore. Not even at Grace? She's young. I remember being young. She should have remembered you. I think she's trying to now. You wrote her?
No.
I wrote to myself. She blinked. You're writing again? Letters. Mornings. Nothing profound. That's everything. I walked to the windowsill where the pages lay, folded and tucked under a stone. Let me see, she said.
No.
Come on. They're not for you. She smiled. All right, selfish. Private. Same thing. We drank. The sea hummed. The sky darkened. You're glowing, Clara whispered. I laughed. It's sweat.
No.
It's peace. I nodded. I finally stopped being everyone else's shadow. She clinked her glass against mine. About time. That night, after she left, I sat cross-legged on the floor and wrote. Dear me, you didn't need to be loud to be heard. You just had to stop whispering to people who weren't listening. I folded the paper. Days passed like quiet songs. Mornings with tea. Afternoons with books. Nights with my own voice. Finally clear. One morning, the phone rang. Ma. Grace's voice. I'm here. I just wanted to check in. I'm all right. She hesitated. You sound different. I am. Are you happy? I'm free. I hope that means happy. It's close. A pause. I miss you, she said. I know. I understand now. What you meant. I hope you do. I want to visit. Someday. Not yet. Not yet. Okay. I'm glad you called, Grace. Me too. I hung up gently. I didn't cry. I didn't ache. That evening, I opened the window wide and let the sea air fill the room. Tell me something true, I whispered to the wind. And somewhere deep in me, I answered, I'm enough. I wrapped the photo slowly, like folding a memory I'd finally made peace with. It was us, Grace at 5, arms around my neck, cheeks sticky from cake, grinning like I hung the moon. She had written on the back in crayon, "My best friend, Nana." I stared at those crooked little letters. I added the note. "I hope you learn to love better than I was ever shown how to." No love, Nana. No signature. Just the truth. The post office clerk glanced at the name on the envelope. "Wedding gift," he asked. "Something like that." He nodded. "You want a tracking number?" "No need." "You sure?" "Yes." I dropped the package in the bin and walked out before I could second-guess it. That night, Clara called. "You sent it." "I did." "What did you choose?" "A picture of us. From before." Before? Before I forgot who I was to make room for everyone else. "What did you write?" I told her. She was silent for a moment. "That's devastating." "It's not meant to be. It's a goodbye. It's a blessing." "Think she'll understand?"
No.
"But maybe she'll feel it." "You didn't ask for anything?"
No.
"That's the point." I poured tea. "You okay?" she asked. "I think so." "It feels finished, doesn't it? Not neat, but whole." She might not respond. I'm counting on it. Still, what if she does? Then I'll read it, and I'll decide if it's for me or for her. Clara exhaled. I wish I'd learned that sooner. The difference. I'm still learning.
She paused.
So what now? I let go. Of her? Of the idea that love is something I have to earn. Clara didn't speak for a while. "I'm proud of you," she finally said. "I'm proud of me too." When we hung up, I lit a candle, not for ceremony, but for warmth. I didn't wait for a knock, or a ring, or an apology in cursive. I just sat by the window, the sea outside whispering its own kind of peace. How did this story make you feel? We'd love to hear your thoughts. Share them in the comments below. And if you found even a piece of truth in this tale, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell icon so you never miss the stories that matter. Also, check out the videos we've linked at the end. These are some of our most popular, most powerful stories. You might just find the one that stays with you.